Time for another Soccer Down Here 1v1, and for this one we head to the Carolinas, and someone who gets to add a new title to the business card, the new head coach of Super League Carolina, Philip Poole. Coach, thanks for hanging out for a 1v1.
John, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
All right, so let me go back to the genesis of this idea. What did you know first and foremost about Super League going in, and how closely did you follow it from the time of the announcement to you being interested in becoming the head coach at Carolina?
Yeah, I think by the nature of what I do for a living, I think it's important that I've got my ear to the ground, so to speak, and I know what's going on in the landscape in the industry. So I've actually followed the progress of the Super League. It feels like now for about 2.5, 3 years since the initial announcement. So kind of watching this space, finding as much information as I can, and it's been intriguing, and I think that's what's kept me interested, is looking at the season, looking at some of the different approaches that USL are going to take. So, there's one thing, keep my ear to the ground, but I was actually pretty interested in seeing how this new league would shake out.
Why now as a head coach, and obviously adding to the intrigue, why in this league? What finally triggered it for you to, want to leave your time with the women's national team, and what finally triggered it in your head? Yeah, I want to chase after this gig.
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's a fun story. My family and I have lived in Charlotte for a long time, and the nature of what I've done for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been on airplanes and hotels around the world and spent an awful lot of time away from my family. So partly keeping my ear to the ground and understanding what's going on with Super League, and understanding that there's going to be a team here in the Carolinas, in Charlotte. So again, it's no secret I was offered a couple of other jobs, offered a chance to stay with the national team. But when I kind of look at the whole picture, take my family's situation first and foremost, but the chance now to step into a head coaching role, which is something I've been working towards, both with the US national team and recently just completed my pro license, and I knew at some point it was going to be the next step, and this one just happened to be really nice, neat and tidy and convenient here in my backyard.
What'd your daughters think?
They're excited. They're happy. On one hand, they love. They're massive fans of the U.S. Women's National Team, and who wouldn't be? Some of those women are amazing and transcend the sport in terms of the messaging they give. So I think they're a little bummed that I won't be on the sidelines with the greatest team in the world anymore. But I think they're happy to have me home.
When it comes to how the sport has grown there in the Carolinas over the time that you've been there, 2 decades plus, what's it been like for you to see the sport grow to this point where we're talking about professional leagues and first divisions and all these kinds of things when it comes to the women's game? What's it been like for you to see it grow?
Yeah, I've had a front row seat, so to speak. I've been fortunate that I've worked at just about every level the game has, from the 4 and 5 year olds to international football and men's, women's college, you name it, everything in between. So I've had a front row seat, and looking at North Carolina in particular, it's all, you list off the schools, UNC, Duke, NC State, Wake Forest, and keep going down the list. It's always been there. I think seeing the youth game develop, especially in Raleigh, Greensboro, and Charlotte, and the amount of high-level players that are coming out of those places, it's unrecognizable from 5 years ago, let alone 15 years ago, and who knows where it'll be 5 years from now. But I think that's where opportunities like this come in with, our team here in Charlotte. That this situation just does nothing but provide opportunities for, women in the sport, for youth players looking to get on the professional track, for fans looking to identify and connect to a team. And we're a very rich soccer city here in sports city here in Charlotte, with NFL, NBA, MLS, NASCAR, and the like. And now there's a home for fans of women's sports, not just women's soccer.
When it comes to the start of the franchise in and of itself, and the team and being on the pitch and all this kind of stuff, I know a lot of folks are sitting there and they're looking at start date for that first game, and they're going, oh, yeah, it's just around the corner. Everything's fine. Yeah, sure, it's over there someplace. But it's really not. And this is a question that I like to ask coaches and front office personnel in these situations with these new clubs. we all have our to-do lists. And I don't know how old school or new school you are. I mean, for me, sometimes in the past, it's been on a phone. You pull out a stylus, you write down an idea on a note card, you jam the stylus back in, you put your phone away. Could be on that calendar or that notepad that's metal, that's attached on a magnet to the fridge. And you've got an idea at 2:30 in the morning, and you write something down when you're getting that drink of water, and then you look at it in the morning and you go, I don't know, I can't even read this. Or it could be on like that 6 or 8 foot big whiteboard in the office that's got a lot of squiggles and lines and different colors and things like that. When it comes to your to-do list to get ready for match one down the line, which really isn't down the line, where is it? And what do you think the next thing that you can cross off of that list is as you continue to move forward?
Yeah, there's really two major pillars that are front and center. And they go hand in hand with each other. First is the building of a technical staff, from assistants to operations to equipment to analysts to strength and conditioning. That's vital. And I think that support system is something that attracts players of a high caliber when that system's in place. The other one, obviously, is the recruitment aspect and the building of our roster. And really trying to be as strategic as possible within the landscape. I think USL provides us a massive advantage being on the same schedule or cadence as quote unquote the rest of the world, not necessarily being on the MLS and NWSL schedule and calendar. So that opens a lot of possibilities in terms of players from different parts of the world. But John, doing the research, there's 300 plus American players playing internationally, so not in the United States. And of those 300 plus, there's about 120 in top leagues around the world. So now we get the chance to scour those places, to look at players that have developed differently, to look at players that have been exposed to different styles of play. We look at the international market where we're going to have a good number of international players. We get to look at the local youth high potential market. We've got several players locally that we will bring in and that will likely begin their professional career before college. You look at the regular way to find players, which is those players that are finishing up NCAA college, and they may go in the draft, they may not, they may forgo that. So looking all over the world, looking in every place for players, and really respectful of all the different levels, because there's always a diamond somewhere if you look hard enough.
So where is that list of yours, and where do you keep it on a daily basis? Do you keep referencing it? Is it on a computer? Where is it?
Yeah, I am everything you said. I've got notepads full of stuff. I've got spreadsheets. I've got magnet boards. I've got stuff written on my hands some days. So I'm right in your wheelhouse there, John. I know exactly how you operate.
When it comes to your style, when folks are going to be watching Carolina play, how would you break down yourself stylistically and what fans would be anticipating when they walk through the gate and they sit in that seat? What are they looking for style-wise?
Yeah, I answer this question probably more than any other question when I'm speaking with players or agents or in the media. I think it's too early to really define we are going to be A, B, C, D. But I will say this. As a player, I don't want to train for 5 days to not have the ball. I don't want to train for 5 days in preparation for a game to not entertain, to not create chances, to not have some energy and electricity about how we play. The other thing is we have an obligation to our fans and our community and the game in general to be on the front foot, to try and win games, to be the aggressor in games. So I put myself, I'm a massive Newcastle United fan, and I put myself there. And for me, this is probably one of our Achilles heels as a town and as a team is I can accept, not winning a game as long as that team are striving for the shirt, and as long as they're striving to win the game, and as long as they are giving me that satisfaction as a fan that this team are going all out. So for me, it's important that we're in professional sports, we're in a high performing environment, and winning championships is part and parcel of that. But we want a team that's going to represent the city. We want a team that's going to have the ball. We want a team that's going to create chances. We want to see some exciting electric soccer that really is part and parcel of bringing the fans back. So, without giving too many secrets away, I mean, we want to play good football.
So then the other follow-up that I have when I'm talking to coaches is when they need advice, when they need those sounding boards, do you have folks on speed dial that you can reference and sit there and go, I've got a question. Can I, sort this out with you? And I guess because of your Newcastle-ness, I guess I should ask if either Eddie Howe or Rafa Benitez are on your speed dial.
No, neither's quite on the speed dial. I would like them to be. I'd have some interesting questions for both of them. I think that's important, right? I think from a mentorship standpoint, I'm so lucky, John, in terms of some of the people I've been fortunate enough to work with, work for, work alongside, and I think that's an important part of the game. And I would hate to leave anybody off that list, but I've got some people that I care greatly about, some people that have gone above and beyond for me as a young coach. And I'm trying to do some of the same things. So I have to lean on that system. I think I'm so fortunate with some of those people. Maybe they're sick of me calling them, but it's something that I think within a small circle is vital for someone like myself.
Philip Poole, the head coach at Super League Carolina, hanging out with us for a 1v1 for another couple of minutes. How have you changed as a coach and a mentor in your time? Because we talk about how the game has changed and how things have grown there in the footprint that you've seen on every level from U5 and U6 to college. How have you changed as a coach and a mentor in your years?
Yeah, I think it's a constant evolution. I look back to 12 months ago and I feel like I'm a different coach from 12 months ago. I think some fundamentals and some, there's always the pillars of who you are as a person and some things that you believe. But, I'll say this, John, the more time that I've spent around some of the best players on the planet, our women's national team plays some of the best players in the world. You realize that modern coaching is a collaboration. It's a collaboration between coach, players, staff, players. The days of a dictator slamming his or her hand on a table and this is the only way and you don't get to question and ask why, those days are gone in sports and those days are gone in society. So for me, the collaboration has become huge. Individual development has become huge, both of players and coach and staff and essentially anyone in the organization. You look at the emphasis that some of the biggest clubs in the world put on the sheer development of the individual, bringing that person from A to B. And I feel like there was a period of time in the game where it was, all about the coach and all about what he or she knows. And those days are gone. So I think the collaboration aspect, the individual development aspect, and then the human being aspect, which is, it's not a unique secret that I have. I think I use this all the time. If I work in construction, or if I sell doors and windows for a living, if we can make the people around us better and they can believe in themselves and we enjoy going to work every day, then I think we're going to have a better product. And I think that's absolutely the case for sports and football in particular.
What's it like when a mentee uses you for their speed dial?
I question what they're thinking. Maybe they don't know enough people. No, I think sometimes it's dangerous to give black and white advice, right? Because everyone's situation is different. Everyone's context is a little bit different. I think sometimes it's better to be a sounding board to test things against. It's good to challenge people's thinking and say, well, okay, I understand that, but why? Tell me more. Tell me why. Tell me why not. So I think it's very difficult to say, okay, I'm the authority on this, and this is the way you need to go. I think it's good now when you've established that relationship with a person that considers me a mentor. I don't know why they ever would, but really to use it as a platform to challenge, to give feedback, which is sometimes very difficult to get from people, authentic feedback, to challenge, to give feedback, to push, and to poke holes. So I think for me, it's less giving hard black and white advice, because I think that's dangerous, but more to challenge thinking and to kind of manipulate some ideas.
My last question for you, and thanks for hanging out and pulling back the curtain on the new gig. How much time are you currently spending in your day making sure that those first steps are solid steps and that everything is going to be in place so you can hit the ground running? How much of your time right now is on this project and how much more do you anticipate spending once you're getting closer and closer to this one exclusively?
Yeah, I'm definitely burning the midnight oil, so to speak. Until April, I'm going to stay with the US Women's National Team through the Gold Cup and also through She Believes down in Atlanta, which I'm excited about. With obviously the recent announcement of our national training center and the chance to be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is unbelievable. So looking forward to those events. So now I'm juggling handling and preparing for a major tournament in the Gold Cup, as well as building a roster and building a staff and building cultures and structure around a team. So definitely putting in more than your standard 8 hours a day. But you know what? I said this to someone the other day, and it was actually one of my mentors. And she stopped me dead in my tracks and said, "It sounds like you're complaining about having one of the greatest jobs on the planet and working 15, 16, 18 hours a day in football and on the phone with agents and players and scouting for national teams and preparing. It's not that bad." And you know what? I took that on board. She was right.
Coach, great to catch up with you. Philip Poole, the head coach of the new program, Super League Carolina, will obviously be following your steps. Might see what She Believes at Mercedes-Benz. Looking forward to that as well. And obviously we'll be following the progress of everything going on as you and everyone else there continue to build what's going on. Thanks for hanging out for a 1v1. We'll be keeping an eye and we'll catch up soon.
All right. Thanks, John. Take care.